These clone fragrances are fantastic compliment pullers, once again proving that you don't have to spend an outrageous amount of money to smell good and get noticed. Because the originals of a lot of these are either really expensive and or discontinued, basically meaning both as well, right? So you just don't have to go down that rabbit hole. You could save a lot of money by getting these and still get fantastic results. And with the case of a couple of these, you can get scents into your collection that you wouldn't have been able to otherwise because they're discontinued and subsequently also very expensive or just hard to find in general. So we've got 7, going to keep it real simple. We're going to work through these one by one, give you the breakdown on each and just kind of tell you why they are so good. But I will drop links to everything down below as well. Obviously buying clones, you can't walk into a retailer and buy these. You got to shop online at discounters. I'll make it easy and drop them down below. This first one is Fragrance World Liquid Brun. This is actually, it's French Avenue, Fragrance World, basically the same thing, okay? Now, this one is a clone of Parfums de Marly Altair, which is a newer release that is very popular, essentially a vanilla focused scent. This vanilla, tonka, chestnut sweetness, that is what it's all about. So that PDM and of course this one are going to be more cooler weather leaning, you know, just given the level of sweetness that they have. The problem with the Parfums de Marly, of course, is the price point, you know. Gone are the days where they're always for a good price on discounters. That's not really the case anymore. That's changed a bit. So typically you're either stuck paying retail, maybe paying just a tiny bit under retail, not really at much of a discount, or you have to wait for a sale to pop up to be able to get that Parfums de Marly that you're after. Or you could just go for one of the mini clones of pretty much all of them that are out there. So every Parfums de Marly has a clone at this point. This is by far the most popular, the most well-known clone of Altair, and I'm sure there will be many more in the future, but this hits it nail on the head. That vanilla sweetness, that powderiness, I mean, definitely a gourmand, definitely strong as well, strong performing, strong scent character too. This is not one for the faint of heart. This is not one for the guys who don't really want to stand out and draw a lot of attention to themselves, you know, because this does stand out, this does project, this does have a smell that kind of commands attention. So be warned, but if that's what you're after, you're in luck. Now this next one is Alhambra Salvo Elixir. Obviously it's a clone of Dior Sauvage Elixir, which is very popular at this point. And you might be thinking, no, is Sauvage Elixir a huge compliment puller? It's definitely completely different than the rest of the Sauvage lineup. But at the same time, they've still captured the essence of what you would expect a big brand like Dior to capture. It still has that charm. It still has that designer appeal. Now, what I will say about Salvo Elixir and why I selected this one in particular, if I had to describe it in one way, it's a little bit more soft than Sauvage Elixir. It's softer, slightly more smooth. So Sauvage Elixir uses, of course, a lot of sandalwood, but then a ton of warm spices, to the extent of cardamom and licorice and some peppery notes and all sorts of stuff, right? This one still does have that, and it still very much is a clone of Sauvage Elixir, but again, just a little bit more soft, a little bit more subdued, and I kind of like that about this one. I find it to be maybe a little bit more approachable, a little bit more widespread in terms of appealing to people, and of course the price point is very attractive. Now, one thing that is just purely comical to me, this looks like a 100 ml Sauvage bottle, right? Well, you're not going to be able to see it, but the liquid stops here, okay? So they just have this much filled in of pure glass. So the bottle's super heavy, but you're still only getting about 60 ml, I guess is what it is. It actually doesn't say on here, but that's about my best guess. So it's funny to look at that. It looks kind of stupid, but it works. Great compliment puller, as I already mentioned. It's something that commands attention yet again, like I was talking about with the PDM or Liquid Brun. You know, you really can't ignore this stuff. People smell this and Even if they don't say anything, they're thinking it, they're smelling it, and they're looking around because it has a smell that kind of captivates people. All right, this next one is going to be more affordable. And what I mean by that is the original of this is more affordable. Still, this clone is way cheaper, but it's not as outrageous. It's Valencia Uomo Intense, and that's, probably pretty obvious there. Valentino Uomo Intense clone. It smells nearly spot on. Has that iris with the leather. That's the key thing about Uomo Intense compared to, Dior Homme Intense or Gentleman Eau de Parfum or any of those other variants for the most part. What separates the Valentino is the use of leather with that kind of sweet, powdery iris accord, giving it a little bit more of a masculine smell that separates it from those other two popular ones. And so Uomo Intense is around usually about $100 or so on discounters for 100 ml. Again, that's not like an outrageous price, especially compared to the first two we talked about. But when you can get this for 20, I mean, the savings is still massive. So still something to consider. Great compliment puller, has been for years. Part of the reason why that trio, those three, got so popular was because they all pull compliments. They're unique enough, but still have that mass appeal to where they do kind of reach people in a positive way. And this one, of course, is no exception as well. Something that I would recommend you check out if you want an affordable version of Valentino Uomo Intense. All right, so this next one is a clone of an expensive fragrance. And it's expensive because it's discontinued. So kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, you're going to have that. Scents that used to be affordable will become expensive when they're discontinued, and that's what happened here. So this is Grandeur Iconic Nuit, Pour Homme, of course. And it's a clone of YSL La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique. Now there is another clone of this as well, Fragrance World Jack of Clubs. Take your pick. They're both great, right? Just depends on which one you like. I prefer the presentation of this. The bottle's heavier. It's not as goofy looking because it doesn't look like a playing card, which is a weird choice, but they both smell amazing and very close. And if you missed out on the whole La Nuit de l'Homme Bleu Electrique thing, it was a very limited release. We didn't know it was going to be limited, and it also came out of nowhere, and I didn't think it was going to be that good. And what it was, to me, was a true throwback to the more original La Nuit de l'Homme, like the old days, back the earlier batches. I've got a bottle of the very first batch, the 4-digit batch code, and there is a difference between that and modern La Nuit de l'Homme. And Bleu Electrique really took that cardamom richness and brought it back to life. What Bleu Electrique also did was, believe it or not, tossed in just a little bit of a modernized kind of slight freshness. Not a blue fragrance, but what almost came across as a little bit of like an amberwood punch, kind of similar to what's used in the YSL Y Eau de Parfum series. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Essentially creating a modernized vintage La Nuit de l'Homme. That's how I looked at it, and it went crazy. I mean, everybody was trying to get a bottle. It was one that I absolutely loved and I was so excited about, and it made it about a year, and then it was discontinued. If you could even call it discontinued. I think maybe just to begin with, it was a limited run and they didn't tell anybody about it, but it went quick. So that's kind of the story behind that. And so now there are a few clones. Luckily, this is one, and it smells just about as close as you can get. And I'm always on the hunt for rare discontinued fragrances like that, or just really good deals in general, which is why a couple years ago I created a free mailing list that you could sign up to at the first link down below. I'll let you know anytime something discontinued or a really good deal comes into stock. So often we get testers for really low prices on whatever you could imagine. That could be $20 less than the full presentation. We get, rare stuff coming into stock, Aqua de Joe Absolute and Light Blue Forever and whatever you can think of. I'll see you over there in that mailing list. Now, this next one is a clone of a discontinued fragrance as well. We'll just get them both knocked out of the way. Discontinued and, of course, obviously expensive. And I haven't even attempted to look for this one. At least on eBay. I'm always looking on discounters for it, obviously, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. But I haven't looked on eBay to see what they're asking, but I'm sure it's pricey. It is the one and only Golden Nights by Fragrance World. And of course, probably those of you who know, it's a clone of the One Royal Night. Now, the One Royal Night is or was an exclusive edition release, along with Mysterious Night and Luminous Night. All three are gone now, so they are truly exclusive. But there was a point where you could get Mysterious Night and Royal Night everywhere, easily. FragranceNet, Fragrance Buy, Joma Shop, whatever. They had them and they were, 70, 80, 90, 100 bucks, which for exclusive editions was not, unreasonable. It was like that for a long time. It was no worries. You could pick them up anywhere. Those days are long gone. And so now, you got to get a clone of one of them. What I loved so much about the One Royal Night and why I talked about it so much is because to me, it was a solution to a problem. You've seen so often where people, are upset with the performance of the One EDP, and it's understandable. It doesn't perform that good. The One Royal Night performed really good. The thing is that the One Royal Night didn't have the tobacco. So people say, well, what's the point? It doesn't have the one thing that makes the one what it is. You layer them, okay? So I would spray on the One Royal Night as a really good base. Do a few, 3, 4 sprays. Hit yourself with a couple sprays, the One EDT or EDP on top to get that tobacco in. And now you've got a really solid base for that will last you throughout the entire day. That was kind of the solution to that issue. And of course, now you can essentially do that with this clone if you wanted to, because this is really close. Smooth, creamy sandalwood. I got to spray this one. It smells amazing. The One Royal Night was one of my absolute favorites. I loved it. Man, and that's to the point where if I was blindfolded, I might not be able to tell them apart. It's that close. And I don't say that about everything. Quite a few of these I could probably distinguish. That one is impressive. This next one is yet another Fragrance World, Reinheit Parfum. Okay, this one, obviously a clone of Dior Fahrenheit Parfum. I mean, it's as far as what you can purchase right now, it's the best Fahrenheit flanker. Now, not taking into consideration, of course, the discontinued ones, Fahrenheit 32 and Absolute and all of those. What you can purchase now, which is basically the original or Fahrenheit Parfum, this is the better one. Every now and then you might be able to pick up Cologne or Aqua or something, but that's few and far between. And I would still take Fahrenheit Parfum over those two anyway. Fahrenheit Parfum has that violet leaf, of course, and then some leather, a little bit of like this vanillic undertone and a bit of a boozy rum accord as well. Just a sweeter, richer, more fall and winter version of the original, fresher, kind of green Fahrenheit smell. Great performer, again, a true parfum. Pricey, 75 ml, usually for around $115, $120, maybe sometimes a tad under that. But that's a pretty high price per milliliter. This Reinheit Parfum is going to be whatever it is, $30 or so. We're going to finish things off with Alhambra Hercules, another Parfums de Marly clone, and this one's a clone of Herod. So Herod, fantastic tobacco scent, beautiful honey tobacco, smells absolutely amazing, but yet at the same time still wearable. It's not what I would consider to be designer tobacco. That would be more like your Dolce & Gabbana, the one that we were just talking about, and things like that. Spice Bomb and stuff. But it does still have the ability to capture a lot of people, as I've mentioned. It's not full-on designer level, but it's not crazy, strong, out-of-this-world niche level either, where it smells unappealing. They got the perfect mix, the perfect balance. They're walking right down that center line with this one, and that's what I like so much about it. It gives you a little bit of a uniqueness and a real nice, potent blend of tobacco, honey, and tonka, but yet still kind of light enough for it to be appealing to a lot of people. It smells amazing. Herod, as far as like the really popular Parfums de Marly's, Herod isn't really in that group. It's Leighton, it's the new Altair, it's, probably Percival, Sedley, maybe even Carlisle you hear about more. But Herod, Godolphin, and Pegasus are ones that are OGs. They've been around for a long time, but they're not really in the spotlight anymore. It's kind of, they're definitely shadowed by some of the newer, more popular ones. And that is what it is. That's okay. But Herod definitely something to check out. And if you don't want to spend that amount of money, obviously Hercules would be the way to go. Another, $20 to $30 clone here that is a great compliment getter. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. Let me know down below in the comments, okay? What are some clones that get you incredible results, great compliments, they perform good prices, whatever. And if you have any desire to be able to get some rare, discontinued fragrances into your collection, jump on that free mailing list at the link down below. I promise you're not gonna regret it. We find some amazing stuff out there, just to be, not trying to toot my own horn, but man, some of the stuff is really cool. Aqua de Joe Absolute, La Mala in the Navy, 212 VIP, Party Fever, stuff that has been discontinued for years that pops up. I mean, you don't get that chance anywhere else. We'll see you in there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.